This is me, guys. My name is Dheeraj Akula. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. I work for a company called Oracle. Um, I've been in India, so my education, everything was in India. Was from ICFA Business School, the same college in India there. Currently, I'm master principal on services industries for North America. I cover all of North America, Canada, and US together. I've been largely on the retail space all through, so at TCS I was in retail, at Satyam I was in retail, JDA I was in retail, Oracle also, the larger uh, practice which covers retail, I'm part of that. So that's a bit about me. Um, and what I was asked to do today is give you an overview of AI in retail. Now, I'm going to use this new tool that I found out for doing mind maps to take you through AI in retail. So let me know if you're not following anything clearly here, and I'll pause and we can talk about it. So this tool that I'm using is not a typical presentation. It's called a mind map. First, before getting into this, let me ask the audience, how many of you are familiar with mind maps? Maybe we do a Zoom poll. Are you able to see the screen, guys?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So maybe we'll do a quick Zoom poll. Let's see. Where is the Zoom? There we go. Okay, on Zoom, you'd have an option to put your reactions, so you can put a reaction saying thumbs up or, or a clap or a heart and all that. Are you seeing those things? Give me a thumbs up if you have used mind maps before. That way I'll know you've worked with mind maps before. Okay. That's okay if you're not worked with it. I'll just give you an start with an overview of mind maps, then get into this session there. Okay, coming back into my screen here. So mind maps are basically diagrams like these, guys, the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. There is a central topic like this one, and there are subtopics from it which emerge from it, and each of the subtopics further emerges into more subtopics. So mind maps help you organize your thought, not in a sequential fashion. It can let you organize your thought in a non-sequential fashion. So if you choose to, you can go to this thought, and this thought, or you can go into this one first, this one next, and this one next, and then go into further things inside it. So that mind maps has a benefit of that. It takes out the need for you to keep things in a sequential fashion. Okay, so this is how a mind map typically looks. Now, the reason I put this in a mind map fashion is to give you how the paradigm is shifting especially with AI and in retail, right? So the paradigm is shifting from the traditional way of doing things. Let's wait for something to happen, then let's wait for a problem to happen, then let's solve it, to a paradigm where you're helping customers. Um, uh, you know, before the customer says I have a problem with this, you're trying to solve those problems. Yeah. So that's the paradigm we are getting into, and the AI in retail actually has lot of pervasive applications. So before I go into those applications, let me give you a quick overview of the industry. So the industry overview, I put it on this branch of the mind map. Yeah. Are you able to see the highlights as I highlight on each of the mind map?
Yes, sir.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
So industry overview of retail. So I'm going to give you a little overview of retail industry so that you understand what is this industry about a little bit. We all get level set on it. So all of us are talking the same language. And then we go into some of the aspects of AI in the industry. So these are the three major sections of my talk today: industry overview, AI by process, and AI by delivery. Okay. So let's get into the first aspect, industry overview. So industry overview is what I've done here is I put three different sections into here for industry overview. Let me close all the child parts of this. I put three topics under industry overview. Number one is how did the industry evolve? The reason I put this is to help us appreciate the background from which we have come and in this industry and how, in which direction we are going. The next one is to give an appreciation on the value that this industry keeps creating and why is it so important that we have to put the best technologies that humans have into this industry. The third one, I wanted to give an overview of some of the futuristic thinking that's happening in this industry by different players. Yeah. So those are the three topics I'm planning to cover in the industry overview. So what you'd also have noticed, I came from a main topic, I went into a subtopic, and I'm going into further subtopics using the mind map. So this is how mind maps work. Okay. Uh, so I'm going to first subtopic, evolution. In evolution, let me give you a quick historical background on this topic. Now, this is a picture I picked up from one of the history classes. Now, the reason I like this picture is because of India's maritime trade. So retail is an industry which, when I come here and I'm talking to people in America and Canada, people tell me, hey, we made such a big progress on the retail front. But I always start with this picture. The reason is when I start with this is because the time when the rest of the world was still thinking about how do I feed myself, we were thinking about how do I carry goods across the ocean, go into faraway markets like Middle East, markets like Greece, markets like China, and sell our wares. So these were drawings and diagrams of people who were carrying these things across the ocean and selling it in different other countries. They drew this to say how their life was. So there's a civilizational aspect to it. When I come into retail, we evolved in retail much early on. Our ethos is evolved into retail much early on, and that's one of the reasons when you see AI, you don't see AI as a technology. You see AI as a means of solving something. You see AI as a resolution of a use case. So that's a quick background, a historical background to it. After that ancient background, more modern history, some of the things have started happening in more recent times, which shaped modern retail. The very first, and these are the three things which have happened, which have shaped modern retail. The very first thing which has happened is called mass merchandising. All these three phenomena are part of something called mass merchandising. Mass merchandising is the phenomena which changed retail from what it was before, like this, to the way it is today. And then that's the flow of mass merchandising. Now, what is mass merchandising about? Mass merchandising means creating merchandise for the masses, uniform merchandise for the masses, uniformity. That's the biggest underlying factor for it. The three major aspects of that, three major revolutions of that happened from the time of Dayton Hudson Corporation, uh, where people started laying out their merchandise, much like how the old ancient traders used to lay out merchandise on the floor. They started laying out merchandise in a closed room and started putting that merchandise for display, and they called it supermarkets. So post Dayton Hudson Corporation became supermarkets. Post Walmart, people started getting technologies which are as simple as putting a QR code, technologies which are as simple as putting a barcode and doing something about it into operation. So they're not AI yet, but they started putting technologies into operation, and they put concepts like quick response, efficient consumer response, VMI, and CPFR. These are all topics by itself, and I have some more content towards it, but we'll not go into that deep content right now. So I'll focus on the AI. But that was the first time we started applying technology to resolve retail's challenges, and Walmart did it pretty well. And because Walmart was able to do it so well, they became the biggest store-based retailer in the world, and they grew very phenomenally. And the founders became multi-billionaires. All of the family are billionaires. Um, Now, something incredible happened in more recent times. I think in 2000, I keep forgetting when iPhone was launched. Does anybody remember when iPhone was launched?
2007.
2007. Very good. So 2007 timeframe on, things started changing for retail, and especially because of the iPhone's introduction. iPhone spearheaded smartphones and the big screens and easily accessible internet to everybody's hands, and that changed the way people were comparing prices, people were recognizing products, people were defining what was convenient to them. People didn't know that it was not convenient to walk into a store and look at a product. It became more convenient for them to just look at it on a mobile, and post-purchase behavior also became quite prominent after the iPhone started coming. Yelp itself had a multi-fold increase. Yelp is a customer review website, had a multi-fold increase after 2007, because so many people are starting to post comments on what they liked and didn't like in retail. So what all of these things did is retail had to be on the cutting edge of human technology. Anything humans figure out on technology had to be applied in retail, because our consumers, the people who were looking at it, were looking at it in so many different ways, and so many more people looking at it than any other industry. Yeah. So that was a background to it. And just to give you a context on the size of contribution of retail industry, this is a quick breakup of GDP of US. So this is US GDP alone, not not for the entire world, but the 67% of the GDP goes into personal consumption. So it's fronted by retail. 67% of GDP is fronted by retail. So that's the size of the industry that retail is in a consumer-driven economy like US. So because it's such a big industry, the best technologies go into this. Now we were talking about why so much attention is coming into this space and all that. Now, because this attention has come in, people have started making new technology investments into this space. The very first investment I want to talk about is something called walkout stores. So you walk into a store, you don't have to do shopping. You are just walking around, and what you are picking up is being noticed by computer vision. These are called vision-based analysis. They look at the different things that you're picking up from the store and understand if you as consumer one, which is in blue, has purchased Cliff Bars, right? And another consumer in pink has purchased chocolate almonds. And the computer vision is picking up the items to put into your shopping cart and check you out. This has been applied in stores like Amazon's Go. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Amazon Go. This has been applied into stores like Amazon Go, and Walmart has also come up with similar self-checkout stores. People come in and the computer vision recognizes who the person is. You don't have to stop anywhere to buy anything. It just buys it for you. To give you a quick view, let me start a video. Let's see if this video plays out. Are you able to hear the
4
music
years
on
ago,
this?
we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So this is a quick preview into what's happening in walkout stores, and we've gone into more detailed, more deeper technology investments than this. So Amazon is a big customer of my employer too, but there's a lot more investments which have happened on that space. So walkout stores is a significant achievement which has happened. It lets you not have any people in the store, any store personnel in your store. So you're able to run stores more efficiently. You can open stores for a longer period. You don't have to worry about who's taking vacation, who's doing training and all of that. Computers take care of the store for you. The next technology I wanted to quickly highlight is a concept called the smart fridge. Now, the reason I put this under the future vision is there are some smart fridges even today, but the way smart fridge was supposed to work has not yet been fully deployed by anybody. What the smart fridge concept is supposed to be is the smart fridge would take an inventory of all the food items in your fridge, and the things which are getting lesser, it would automatically add it into your shopping list, or even better, place an order on it. So that's the concept of smart fridge. So what is the AI happening in here? AI is detection, RFID based detection or IoT based detection. And those detection technologies would read what's inside the fridge, understand what is your, read through your previous consumption patterns to compare and say, okay, if grapes are getting over and he buys grapes every week, maybe I should order an next grapes, or milk is getting over, we drink milk every day. I should probably order milk after this. So shopping list with smart fridges is using past patterns and looking at what is actually in the fridge, the weights, the sensors, the lights on it, because some computer vision is also used for measuring some of the things inside the fridge, and you're making it on the shopping list. Now, this is still future. It's not yet been deployed in all the, it's not yet been deployed in at scale, smart fridges. Part of the reason is privacy concerns. People are worried if apart from the fridge, somebody else also notices if you have consume certain items or not. That was a concern, but the people are working around it. Uh, so that's another technology I wanted to quickly bring your notice to. Once these smart fridges make an order, right, that order has to come to you. So what people have done, and Amazon is actually leading again in this space, is they are trying to do drone-based delivery. Now, what you see on the bottom of that big balloon are small drones. I don't know if you're able to see those small dots there towards the bottom. They have the mountain in the background. So those small drones come out from that big balloon and are supposed to deliver packages into everybody's homes, right? Now, this is also still futuristic. These drones have Federal Aviation's clearance to fly. Those big balloons, called blimp, are not yet out on everybody's city. They're working on getting them out, but this will slowly soon hit the market too. Now, what are technologies behind it? One is, again, computer vision. It has to know if there's a tree before it. Another is IoT again, because IoT are GPS-based sensors which are telling you that so a consumer basically has to put a mat before his home, a mat which says this is Amazon's landing spot, and that mat would have a sensor on it to which the a drone will home into. So it's basically using an IoT technology there. It's GPS-based technology there to pick that up. So it's pulling those things coming into that make the drone come into and land at a particular mat. So those are the few futuristic things which are happening. And if you see the pattern which is happening here, number one, they're trying to make stores less and less, more easy for people to walk into, pick up and go away. And number two, they are saying that you don't even have to come into my stores. I'll figure out what you need and I'll place orders for it. Number three, they are saying when you place those orders, I don't even have to use a human for it. I'll go and deliver through drones and things like this. So having humans to do a lot of this menial work is out of the goes out because of AI coming in. This is a big achievement because it improves productivity, it reduces the cost for the consumers. A lot of the costs in a particular product which is delivered is the cost of last mile, cost of actually storing items and delivering it to you. So it's about 30 to 60% of the cost is that. So that much cost could be reduced, and it would make things more affordable to a lot of consumers. So that's a quick background on the industry. I'm doing a quick time check. We are probably halfway there. Did everybody follow the industry overview? Is my talking pattern good for you? Are you able to follow everything good?
Yes, sir.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so let me go into the next topic. I'm put this as AI by delivery. What I mean by delivery is the means through which the AI is getting delivered, right? So the very first topic I put is IoT. Now, IoT stands for Internet of Things. I've been using the word IoT, I've been using the word RFID, QR codes in my previous section. Let me give you a quick explanation of those words. Internet of Things, IoT, is a major phenomena which is driving application of AI in retail, because AI doesn't have to be intelligence which is talking to a human being. It could be intelligence which is talking to a thing like a phone, a thing like a fridge, a thing like a mat, a thing like a smart shelf. So these are called Internet of Things. So things are telling onto the internet what is happening with them. And AI reads from it and starts applying some logic on top of it and tells a human only if a certain condition is met or certain activity is happening. So IoT is the very first uh, means of delivering AI. It is the means of applying AI. Now, I used another word called RFID QR codes in my previous section. RFID stands for radio frequency identification. Radio frequency identification is little lesser technology than IoT. IoT are active sensors. They are reading and telling out to the internet what's happening. RFID are not so active, are not directly connecting to internet. They connect through another sensor, and then that sensor tells to the internet what's happening. So RFID are chips like what you find in a regular clothing store. If you walk out of a clothing store, an apparel store, a shopper stop or something with some goods in your hand, the alarm will buzz, right? That is buzzing because there's a small chip which they have to undo from the cloth, and only then you can walk out, right? That chip is RFID chip. QR code is even lesser down in the technology hierarchy than RFID. It is like a barcode but two-dimensional. It can carry more information. So Walmart and those kind of companies have used that QR code to easily enter information onto screens. So the simple activity of entering information onto screens is made more easier with QR code. So IoT is the most advanced form of it. Yeah. Now let's look at some. So what I've done is I put some more delivery process here on how different ways in which AI gets delivered, and I put some links to it. So let me go into one of these links. So let's look at what is the state of art on IoT based AI delivery. Okay, I'm clicking on a link there. Okay, I put lot of these links to my own company and my own company's public website. Reason being, I sell these products day in, day out, so it's easier for me to talk about it. So Oracle and SAP and Amazon and Google, we all talk about this concept. It's called intelligent applications. And we preface it with IoT intelligent applications. All the top technology players are talking about it. Now, what are these applications for? As I was saying earlier, things talk, and when things can talk to the internet directly, you don't need a human to understand it. AI can understand it. And what kind of things would you want? What kind of things could be talking, and what kind of AI could be understanding it in a manufacturing process, right? AI could be telling that my machine is working at such a speed. I'm getting more heated when the machine is working. I want somebody to fix it. If it's a machine which is like a tractor or a forklift, it's telling that my engine oil is running low, come and fix me. If it's in transportation, transportation is also a pretty important for retail industry, because so many of the goods get delivered to points which are so far away from where they were actually produced or grown. A key example is oranges, right? In the US, oranges are mostly grown in one state. Florida and California have most amount of orange growth. And when those oranges are sent across all of the mainland US, it has to go in a fast time frame. It has to go in when they're still fresh. So the transportation, the trucks, and the temperature at which their trucks are carrying those oranges needs to be continuously monitored. So instead of asking a human, hey, go back to the back of the truck and see if the oranges are still cool, you put a chip inside the oranges basket, and these kind of technologies read in the back of the truck what is the temperature the orange is going through. And a part where AI comes in is it keeps not just reading it, it also alerts somebody if the oranges are going into more hotter temperature than what they are supposed to be. So all of those things it keeps doing. And naturally, workplaces where like shops and different places where workers are actually going and walking around malls and any other place where people are working together to give management quick visibility on where the workers are. Things like your badge could be a IoT, right? Your badge that you use and walk into a workplace could be an IoT, which is telling the manager where you are at, and you can help you work around that. Service centers do the same way. So this is one way in which artificial intelligence is being delivered without having to get a human involved. It's just things and AI working together. Human doesn't have to do anything. AI will know when to call a human. AI would know when to raise an order, because it could or when to raise and send an email. It would not have to wait for a human to do anything. Okay. So that's the first way of delivering AI, IoT. The second way of delivering AI is when humans are involved and humans have to talk to the AI, right? I call it as conversational AI. There are many ways for calling this. People call it as chatbots. People call it as Alexa. People call it as, Siri. All of them are conversational AIs. You talk back and they talk to you. Now, what is the uh, what is the AI behind this? So, and again, just like Oracle, SAP, and Amazon and Google and Apple, all of them have this kind of technology where somebody can speak to them and they speak back, right? If you talk to Siri and you ask it to search for a map, it searches the map and tells you back. If you talk to a Google and ask it to read your calendar, it reads that and tells you back. Same fashion, enterprise level chatbots, enterprise level conversational AI think and talk to you back for enterprise skills. Enterprise skills like, where is my order at? Where is those oranges that I ordered to my store? Where are those at? When will my next shipment come into the store? How many employees are going to be on off tomorrow? So all of those things, they're all part of conversational AI. Now, different use cases are there on our own website, Oracle's website, on how we apply it into different functions. You are welcome to read that. If you just search with these keywords, you'll find that message again. The next section of UI I wanted to bring out is something I call visualization UI. Now, sometimes it's the content which AI wants to tell you is not just conversational in nature, it's more visual in nature, right? So those visualization AI are AIs which are applied to help humans visualize what's happening in data in a more easy fashion, right? Typically, this is applied within an analytics solution. So IBM or SAP or even Salesforce, all of us have an analytics solution. And within analytics solution, a lot of the customers, a lot of these enterprise providers do is instead of just providing a view of a graph like this, with graphs and colors and lines, we are going a more level deeper. We are putting AI into it. And the way we put AI is through something called so it's not just Oracle, it's SAP, it's other people too, and even Google has come up with its own analytics tool now. What the analytics tools are doing is they're reading what's in the data that's being visualized and apply some context around it. So if you see this graph over here, there is a there's a solid line which is going up and down, and behind it you would see what is the uh, control level, which the system thinks should be, what is the bandwidth in which the system thinks should that metric should be. So it's trying to put some intelligence onto it. So when a human is seeing it, he or she doesn't need to think about, hey, is this line at which is going so high into on the y-axis, is it supposed to be that high or not? AI is already giving you what is acceptable coverage, what is the acceptable control limits, on that, and AI is thinking about it. So when a human is trying to see a visualization, it becomes more easy for them to understand things. Furthermore, what AI started doing, and this is called intelligent insights, is they read those reports, they read all that AI. And for people who say, I don't want to read everything, I don't want to interpret it on my own, let somebody else tell me what is the interpretation of it. It puts simple English interpretation of what those insights are, right? And it's makes English based interpretation of those insights, those graphs, and tells it to people. Now, this is from our technology, but Google has also similar insights. It reads through any data given to it, and in English tells you what's happening in there. So few in technology players have applied AI to read things and tell back. Yeah. The next AI is something called in-process AI. In-process AI is you're at work, you're doing something, and when you're doing something, the AI might tell you or prompt you to do something in a different way because it could help your business. What does that mean? So I'm going to open something called enterprise app. So what you have here is, if let's say I'm in the process of working and dealing with my supplier, right? I'm talking to my supplier. I'm a retailer, and I buy goods from, say, Lee Supplies. On the very top, there's a Lee Supplies, and I want to talk to them about reducing cost, right? Because as a retailer, I need to pick up as many discounts as possible from my supplier, so I can pass it on to the shoppers who are coming in. So how do I base that conversation on? How do I call a supplier and say, supplier, reduce my cost, reduce my cost? You can't just say it out of nowhere, right? You need to use some basis for talking about it. So here is some basis. So AI, the screen is all generated by AI. So what it does is it's reading that supplier's liquidity score to tell you, can this supplier afford to give you a discount? So it's reading a liquidity score, it's picking up data from the internet, picking up data from, we have web crawlers of our own, Oracle has web crawlers of our own, Google has web crawlers of its own. We read data from internet and we put it on there, and we say, okay, this person can afford to, has enough liquidity to give some discounts, right? And some more insights from your own enterprise data is given. But where the AI really comes into play is things like this. You see this word called overall discount opportunity. This is the place where AI is telling you that you have an opportunity to get 5% discount, right? Because compared to all the suppliers for that business unit, we've always got a 5% discount there. Go and ask for a 5% discount, bring that, and it makes a statement also in the very top. It says, compared to all the suppliers for select business unit. So in this business unit, all the suppliers are giving you a 5% discount, go and ask for the same thing, right? Or it could be any other statement. So it makes that statement, it gives you a percentage there to go and ask that thing. So you as a merchant in retail industry or in any other industry, don't have to worry about what is my argument for this supplier to give me more discount, right? The AI is thinking about those discounts for you. Think about those conversations for you. So this is what we call as in-process AI. With the process of you working and doing some work, AI keeps coming up and start publishing insights into you. Okay. The next one, I had to just call it as advanced AI because these were AI applications which were not very is not delivered to only one way. It could be delivered in many ways, and I call it as advanced AI. Now, why do I call it that way? Let me open the screen. Okay, so again, as I said, I keep pulling out Oracle examples. The same technology of data science-based engines are available at Google. The same technology of data science-based engines are available at Salesforce. I use my example because this is the technology we sell. It's more familiar to me this way. What these advanced AI technologies are doing is they are letting data scientists, Data scientists like Swapnil create models, and it has a lot of it has a suite of tools which helps you quickly evaluate a data science model and explain that model to your peers and deploy it. So the key part is evaluating a model. How do I know if my model is good or not? How do I know if my AI, the data science that I'm applying in that model is good and it can be used for the particular use case or not? So that's the biggest value that enterprise data science tools give out, and especially in the retail industry, because in retail industry what happens is consumers, how do you know if a consumer will like an orange juice in a 200 ml box or a 1 liter box? How do you know that? How do you know if a consumer will pick up that orange juice of 200 ml box when it on Monday of next week, but he won't probably purchase the same thing the following week? How do you know those insights? You build data science models on consumers. Especially in the retail industry, we make models called consumer models, consumer decision models, consumer decision modeling. Those are the words we use. Sometimes we also use the word called market response modeling. So all of these are models of data science models which are built, and those models are put into enterprise level, enterprise grade tools like this, like what Oracle has, like what Google has, what Salesforce has, and they pull in the insights, and tell a person in the retail industry, okay, you'd probably end up selling more of the 200 ml variant than the 1 liter variant. So you probably want to sell that more in week 1. In week 2 it will probably be not that variant but another variant of it. So all of those insights these models give out to you. Okay. Now I think I saw a message or something on Zoom. Wait, let me go back. Maybe I'll finish this line of talk and then we go into that. Next topic I wanted to bring is robotics. Now, especially in retail space, in artificial intelligence is not just something within behind a screen. It's something which is happening robotics in retail industry, there are other applications too of robotics within the store. Also, there could be robotics applied to stock the shelf, but warehouse is usually the place where robotics are applied the most uh, in retail industry. Yeah. Okay, coming back to this one. So these were the few of the AIs for delivery. AI by delivery, you know, how is AI delivered? Is delivered through a thing, to a conversation, through visualization, to a process, through the advanced technologies or robotics. Any questions on this section? Are we generally good? Are you following what I'm explaining? Is it comfortable pace for you?
Yes, sir. We can understand.
Oh,
Yes, sir. It's
very good. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So we'll go into the next section. So I'll close that section, go into the next section. The next section, I call it as AI by process. So what happens in the retail industry is there is a larger process which is at play. So the entire work that retail industry does, the retail company does, and company like Shopper Stop, company like a More Supermarket, or company like Heritage Fresh, and all of those companies do, is classified into these 5 buckets. Anything that they do, you know, classified into the 5 buckets. What are these 5 buckets? These are not departments in a company. This is not HR department versus finance department. This is the kind of activity which the people in that company are doing, right? Some people in say a Shopper Stop or a Heritage Fresh or More Supermarket are doing planning. Some people in the retail industry are doing buying. Some people at one of the supermarkets is probably doing only moving, you know, move the bananas from Kurnool to Hyderabad. That's probably the only job they do. Some people in the retail industry or the people who are employed at their retail company are only doing selling. How do I help my customers pick up the best things and take it to their homes? Some people, especially in consumer appliance retail, right? So Tirumala Music Center is there in Hyderabad. So all of you are in Hyderabad, right? Everybody here in Hyderabad in the group here, or people spread around?
spread around. Spread around, sir.
Oh, okay. So what are some consumer appliance retailers there? Is Chroma in every city? Chroma? Do you guys know Chroma? Or am
Yes,
I?
sir. I know from.
Okay. Oh, very good. So what are other consumer appliance retailers? If you had to go and buy a fridge, where would you go and buy it? Bajaj appliances?
Bajaj appliances. Reliance Digital is there.
Oh,
Reliance
very good.
Yeah.
Very nice. So service is another function which is especially important for those kind of retailers, you know, Reliance Digital, Bajaj appliances, those kind of people, because they have to do service after the sell is over, right? So these are called processes, the 5 high level processes which are there in the retail industry. So any retailer you're talking to would, if they're saying I'm doing certain work, you can see that work either comes into planning, comes into buying, comes into moving, comes into selling, or comes under servicing, you know, to the customer. Any of only these things it will usually come under. So how is AI applied into all of these activities, right? Let's start from planning, right? Planning means I'm planning on the entire process. So let's look at what kind of AI gets applied here. So I'm going to click on that link, and we again go to my own company's website, because it's more easier for me to talk from my company's website. So planning is typically supply chain oriented planning. You know, retail is about goods being supplied to stores supplying goods into consumers' homes. So typically planning means supply chain planning in retail. And what's happening in planning is AI is applied, especially predictive analytics is applied to analyze and predict demand for a certain skew into the future, and it keeps telling that predictions over a different period of time. This is the standard application of AI, but the more things are also happening in this space. What is happening is that um, further technology applications are happening more than just forecasting. So what you know, here is an example of how AI is applied beyond forecasting, right? How being applied beyond just extrapolation, beyond just logistical regression. No, I think logistical regression and linear regressions you will probably hear from from the trainers a little later on. But just keep that in mind. It's not just linear and logistic regression. You can do more things than that. When you make the logistic regression model, it generates many parameters and use those parameters to do more analysis, right? Now, what kind of analysis can you do? This is an example. This is a real example of building a logistic regression model and doing further analysis on top of it. Now, what's happening here is you build a forecast of the demands that you think are happening going to happen on your store. Demands means customer walking into your store and demanding, I need orange, right? Orange juice. I need walking into your store and demanding, I need Annapurna Atta. So that's the demand that you have forecasted. You forecasted next week, I think 100 units of Annapurna Atta will get sold, right? So that's my demand forecast. What AI is doing further than that, further than just logistic regression, is it is looking at any of these demands that it thinks are going to happen at the store. And if it sees any risk of that forecasted demand not being met, right? So if you say there is a festival coming up, right? And before the festival comes up, maybe sugar is purchased at a higher quantity than before. Maybe ghee is purchased a higher quantity than before, right? So those are, you expect a higher demand for ghee, expect a higher demand for sugar, expect higher demand for other things before a festival starts happening. Now, if the AI sees a risk that the demand cannot be met, right? It is thinking instead of a human, it's thinking on like a human, and it is saying that I see a risk. And it's called, at Oracle, we use the word at-risk demands. Other companies use different words. At-risk demands, we say this demand is at risk. And the AI is saying, I see these demands are at risk. And I have a way in which I can solve it, right? It will say, there's a way in which I can solve it. It says, I can solve it, and you're probably not able to see this font in a clear fashion, but it gives a summary of recommendations on how it will want to solve it. It will say, I want to expedite some orders. I want to do some transfers from other warehouses to my warehouse. I want to talk to a supplier to increase his own capacity. I want to maybe stop a promotion from happening. So all those things, it's giving a summary here. The small table on the right hand top corner that you're seeing, as AI is telling, these are the things I will take. I recommend that you do to handle the risk that I'm seeing on your demand. A festival is going to happen. I think more sugar is going to be purchased. The demand for sugar will be more. How do I resolve it? I'm giving these 7 strategies to resolve it, 7 ways in which you want to resolve it. If you like it, you press a button, it implements that strategy for you. Right? So this is how AI is being applied inside the process of planning. So it is not waiting for a human to plan. It is always continuously thinking, and it's planning on its own and just asking for a human to confirm it. In fact, it doesn't need to wait for a human to confirm it. We just put a step because, humans have to look at some stuff, just to be sure AI is not going haywire there. Yeah. So that's how AI gets applied on planning. The next one is AI being applied on buying side, right? So I'm going to open this URL here. Now, yeah, these are all public domain URLs of Oracle, and this is actually a documentation of Oracle. So if you want to read how any of our software works, you just have to go to this website called docs.oracle.com. You can read how our algorithms work. But the reason I wanted to bring this out is to show you about okay, where was the way to search inside here? Okay, let me just go down. Manage users, administration, set about Taylor integration. Yeah, to talk to you about this one. Oops. Talk to you about these 2 points here. So this is another application of AI. And what it does is, and this is in the buying process. So in the buying process, you might have made an order for with ITC for supplying atta to you. You might have made an order with ITC to supply the Sunfeast biscuits to you. But there could be risk that the supplier is at. There could be risk of might not be ITC, but a smaller supplier going fully out of business. Right? There could be risk of some other thing happening on the supplier. AI is reading that risk. And we have an offering, and in fact, this is something I think very few other companies have, like, this word here called Data Fox, which is a web crawler. So Google also has web crawlers of the same nature. So what these tools do is they are artificial intelligence which is reading websites. It is reading websites to pick up insights on your supplier. So you see here, it's picking up insights on the supplier and telling the person who's buying that I see a risk on the supplier. I see a problem in the supplier. I just saw a news story on the supplier that the CEO resigned. It creates it as a signal. It calls it a signal and gives that signal into supplier risk. So this is an application of AI which is happening on the buying side of retail, right? There are other applications also just like this, but this would not have been possible without AI. If it was not AI, a human would have to keep searching on different suppliers to see if their CEO resigned, if their company has a strike, if they had a big financial issue or any of those things. A human has to keep reading and all that. And for retail industry, the number of suppliers are in hundreds and thousands. So you can't follow all these hundreds and thousands of suppliers humanly. So AI has to keep reading about it, and doing that. So Google and Oracle, we offer these web crawlers who go around and pick up information from the internet and tell a in-process user that, hey, there's a problem in your buying. There's a chance that what you're thinking you'd buy will never end up coming into your store. The next process we want to talk about is move. Moving is moving things from one location to another location. Why is this important for retail? Take bananas, for example. Bananas are not grown close to any of these major cities, right? They're grown, most of the bananas are grown away from the major cities. So you have to pack those bananas into a truck and get those bananas before they get spoiled or become too ripe into the stores. So moving is about that. How is AI helping here? And opening a link again, this is for this is from my own company. Other companies might have different ways of doing it. IBM also has similar technology. What these technologies do in the movement process is they do something called intelligent track and trace. So especially for pharmaceutical items or items which can have a higher propensity of to get do damage to a consumer, um, retailers and consumer goods providers, consumer produce providers want to record what they have done so that tomorrow there's no issue between the retailer and the producer that I didn't give you something. Now, how do you record it? You record it using blockchain, right? Blockchain is called a distributed ledger, but blockchain, if you want to record everything that's happening in your business into blockchain, your blockchain will just bloat up and it will just reduce the speed of transactions on it. So this is where another place where AI gets applied, and that's why we put the word intelligent on the start of the product, is it looks for events, and it looks at it intelligently figures out which events it has to record, and it records those events. So if you are on this page, look at this beer processing video. It tells you during the beer processing whole process how it's picking up different events and putting those events into a blockchain. The benefit of this is tomorrow, if federal health authorities or FSSAI want to figure out, whose problem was it, that this beer or this product or this pharmaceutical was not delivered in the right way, you don't have to point fingers at each other. Retailer doesn't have to point fingers at the producer doesn't have to point fingers at the trucking company. You look at a blockchain, there'll be a record there, a record which nobody can take off. And it would say intelligent records, you're recording only the important aspects. And it records that, when I picked up this consignment of beer, when I pick up this consignment of pharmaceutical, I had so much of temperature on it and so much of weight on it. This was my condition. It records it in the blockchain. Nobody can change it anymore. So it helps you in the movement process. It helps you trace the entire movement process. Throughout the time when the truck is traveling, it keeps recording the process, the temperature and the capabilities inside the temperature and the metrics inside the truck, and keeps recording into that. So that's the AI application on move. AI applications on selling, how do you sell? Let's say I am Swiggy, let's say I'm a Zomato, right? I have somebody coming into my website and somebody's ordering, say, paneer tikka, so what AI does is we call it as real-time personalization. So when a Swiggy tells you buy, veg fried rice with that paneer tikka, it is not Swiggy telling you. It is engines like this which are telling you. Engines like Oracle Maximizer. I mean, Amazon has similar technology. Salesforce has similar technology. These are called recommendation engines. These are AI engines which are reading the patterns of purchase on a user, and it is making and it. Yeah, so it looks at those patterns and it says yeah, if, to the user who's come onto Swiggy, it says go and buy something else. So as you as a shopper in a Swiggy or a Zomato or any other place, you will not know where the recommendation came from. The recommendations actually come from enterprise recommendation engines which Oracle, Salesforce, and Amazon are selling, and they are behind that web page, and they are reading what you're doing and telling back. So it's all it's quite advanced AI and pretty high level of churn. It's happening in real time. So moment you open that page, it's already told you buy vegetable fried rice. So that real time recommendation is happening at a very fast pace. So it requires special architecture for it. So this is an example of that. Amazon also has a recommendation engine, pretty good. Salesforce also has similar recommendation engine. Okay. On the service side, especially after COVID happened, after Corona happened, I especially had a challenge when my mom's AC at the home was broken down, right? And we had to fix it. And not just for me and my mom in India, but anybody who's been using a consumer appliance like an AC, a refrigerator during COVID times, you would not trust a technician to come inside, right? How would you still fix your AC, your fridge, your things when there's no technician coming inside? Now, here is where this comes in. It's the technology is called intelligent advisors. Now, I think this is probably very unique to Oracle. There's probably going to be some technology from Google also of the same nature. But what these kind of advisors do is they ask you questions as if you want to repair your own fridge, right? How will you repair the own fridge? How will you self-service your own fridge? How will you self-service your own AC? These kind of advisors help you. Now in India, I don't know if any popular app is already doing this, but the way these utilities, this AI works is you log into an LG website or you log into um, uh, uh, any any of the consumer appliance website, and it will ask you some questions. Is the fridge light coming? So you say yes, and you say it will ask you, is the ice still holding strong? So you'll say yes, and then it will give a next page. It will say, okay, if these two are happening, that means you probably don't have something here, right? Go check there. So you could fix things on your own. So intelligent advisor is talking to you sometimes verbally, sometimes from a screen, and it advising back a consumer how to fix something on his own, right? So that's an application of on the service side. So these are few applications by process, okay, of AI. Any questions here? Did you guys follow it?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, suppose
Oh,
if buy a product and we put add to cart, sir.
uh-huh.
So that comes under AI by delivery or AI by processor?
No, in this, in the selling process, remember we saw Maximizer and those recommendation engines, right? So it will come, moment you add something into a shopping cart, at the bottom you will say, you might also want to buy. That comes from AI. It's called recommendation engine. Okay.
Yes, sir. And another, sir, suppose some product I have searched for Samsung S21 Ultra. If it is out of stock, how
Mm.
how the browser know that it is out of stock?
Yeah, so it is that engine, those recommendation engines are not just looking at you as a consumer shopping with it. It's also reading back from the warehouse and other places on what is the stock level. So if it doesn't see a stock there, it will not even show that icon. So when you're doing shopping on some of these sites, no, you'll not even see a catalog item for a certain item because it will by default take off those items which it thinks it doesn't have enough stock for.
So it basically reads warehouse also and our things also.
Yeah, both sides it's doing and doing it in real time. So it's very fast computing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? I know we overshot our time. Are you all comfortable with what we covered here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, very good.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. So I'll probably stop the sharing now. Surya or Swapnil, do you want to do any closing comments or how do we do this?
Yes. So, any question, guys? We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes, Dheeraj. We'll ask them if
Okay, sure.
So, Dheeraj, I have a question. Like, what do you think the store of future is going to be? People are talking about physical store, online store, right? But what do you think the future of store is going to be?
Oh, so there is a company called B8TA. If you guys think it's an interesting company to see, I think the stores will become more of experience centers. I'll type that name out. You search on internet about this. B8TA. So stores are going to become more of experience centers. So people are not going to walk into a store to buy anything. They'll walk into a store to experience the product. But the actual purchase will happen probably from their mobile phone. So stores in the future will probably not be stocking in the store. It will just be explaining and showing the item in the store. If you search B8TA, that's picking up good traction, you know, especially in North America. And I think things like that will probably grow more and more.
Thanks, Dheeraj. Guys, any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Everything
Okay.
is good, sir.
Great. So, Dheeraj, thank you so much for your time.
No worries.
Yeah, and Dheeraj is someone who's doing this, working with retail for, I think, almost 20 years now, right, Dheeraj?
That's right.
Career with Satyam and many top companies, and now you are. He has started career as a developer, and now he's into sales. He's managing the entire North America's region. So retail is something that he has worked for 2 decades now, but right now, for last almost like 7-8 years, he's working other domain as well. So he was asking me about which domain should I talk about. I said that, instead of focusing on multiple domain, let's focus on one domain so that we all can get good understanding. So, but yes, you can ask me about healthcare, consumer goods. Retail is something that cut across multiple domains, right? So
yeah, and there's something called convergence also, which is happening. People are not just coming to buy retail; people are buying retail with entertainment. Like if you see Amazon Prime, no, entertainment is Prime Video, retail is Amazon Prime, purchasing things. Convergence is happening across multiple previously unrelated industries. So that's why my scope has also increased to anything which is B2C. Utilities are B2C, electricity companies are B2C, so that comes into my scope. Banks are B2C, that comes into my scope. So if you see Tesco in the UK, right, they also not just sell supermarket goods, they also sell financial services. So for a retail expert, we don't have to think about orange juices and atta. We have to also think about what financial services we can sell to the person walking into our store. And because our consumer models are telling us that, they are saying that there's a good chance of somebody buying food and also buying insurance than somebody purposely going into an insurance office to buy insurance. So that's convergence is coming up a lot.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's why we all have to, keep track of the industry progress and get into different domains, understand how they work. So yeah, thank you so much, Dheeraj, once again, and thank you so much for your time and sharing all the valuable insights with us. So we really are very honored to have you here today, and also very thankful to you, Dheeraj.
No worries, man. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
definitely. Yeah, and even if in future if they come across any questions, I'll get in touch with you, Dheeraj. I'll share
Okay.
the questions with you. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, man.
Yeah, Dheeraj. I know it's
Okay.
very late.